Now, if you're slicing, you probably have an open club face where the face is going to have an arrow pointing up towards the sky. All right, guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to correct your slice with 5 easy tips. So, the very first tip that we're going to talk about is the club face. So, when the club face comes into the golf ball, if you have an open club face, that's going to cause the slice that you're getting. Now, it also matters how open the club face is relative to the swing path. So, if you're swinging out to the left, and the club face is open, it's gonna slice. If you're swinging out to the right and that club face is still open relative to the path going to the right, it's still gonna slice. So that's why you've seen probably a multitude of shots, whether you're pulling it, whether you're pushing it, whether you're hitting it straight, and then you see it slice after the fact. So no matter which direction your club path's going, you're still gonna slice if the club face is open relative to your swing path. So the first thing that we can do to fix the club face is we're going to start with our grip. So when we adjust our hands on the club, that allows us to open and close the club face with our grip. So we're going to take the club in our hand. I'm going to start with my left hand for right-handed golfers. So this is the first hand going on the club. And we're going to hold it kind of in our fingers. So it should go about the middle of your index finger here. So that middle part of your index finger, that's where the club grip's gonna start. Then it's gonna go diagonally across to the bottom of your pinky. So it's just gonna be touching where your pinky and your palm start to connect. So you're gonna wrap your fingers around your club. Then we wanna make sure that we get our palm a little bit more on top of the club so that we have 3 knuckles here. We should be able to see 1, 2, 3 different knuckles here on the grip. Then we're gonna take our other hand and then put it kind of on the side of the club. Now we're going to take our grip, whether that's an interlock, an overlap, if you have the baseball grip, and we're going to make sure that our palm is kind of more on the underside of the club or on the side of the club. We don't want that palm, the palm of our hand, to be on top of the grip. We want it to be more on the underside. And so by shifting our hands more to the right side of our grip here, when you're looking at your grip, the right side here, when our hands are more on the right side, that's going to allow us to turn our hands and rotate so where our palm faces down and then the top of our hand faces up. So when we rotate our hands more so that, our palm is facing down on our right hand and our knuckles are pointing to the ground on our left hand, that's what's going to shut that club face. So if I hold the club face up here and we turn it, that's how we're shutting the club face. So people who are slicing, they leave an open club face. So the club face is the opposite. So in this case, your left hand, you want your knuckles more to be facing towards the ground when we turn the face over, but with slicing, your hand is probably facing more up. Your knuckles are more pointing to the sky, and your right hand, this palm is actually pointing up to the sky, which is the opposite of what we want. So we're just getting a stronger grip by rotating our hands more to the right of our grip. That way it gives us more room to turn over to the left. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit a shot and show you what a slice will look like, and then we're gonna show you how changing our grip can affect the club face, shut the face more, and we're gonna get that ball going to the left. All right, so I'm taking my stance here. I'm gonna go ahead and swing back, and then I'm gonna leave the club face open, and you're gonna watch how it slices on the screen. All right, so it started dead straight, and then it starts curving off to the right, and that's due to leaving that club face open relative to my straight swing path. So that one I actually had a straight swing path that started it straight, and then that open face caused it to slice to the right. All right, so if you're slicing, the first thing you want to do, like I said, just get that club face shut. That's going to get shots starting going to the left, hooking to the left. So if we can get you to stop slicing to the right and we can get you hooking to the left, then later we'll work out that hook and we'll turn it into a draw. But the first thing we need to do is actually get you hooking the golf ball. So this time, I'm gonna take a swing, I'm gonna use my strong grip, and we're gonna get that club face to shut so that we can hit the hook shot that we wanna do to start negating that slice that we're hitting. All right, so that one took off to the left and then it continued hooking to the left. So that's what we want to do. So first tip, get the grip, close the face using your grip. So changing to a stronger grip is going to help you shut that face. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is the club face relative when we take it back in the takeaway. So what I'm gonna do is set up here and do an example takeaway. So when I take the club back and we get that club shaft parallel to the ground, if you look at the leading edge on the club face, you're gonna see that it's probably pretty straight up and down right now. Now, if we have a closed club face, that's gonna start to turn the face towards the ground. So if we had an arrow coming out of the club face, it's gonna start pointing down to the ground. Now, if you're slicing, you probably have an open club face where the face is gonna have an arrow pointing up towards the sky. So we wanna get this back to neutral where the arrow would be pointing directly sideways, or we wanna slightly have that face closed to where the arrow would be pointing to the ground if we were to draw an arrow straight out from the face. So taking the club back, you're probably opening the face too much on your takeaway, and then that's leaving it open throughout the swing. So when you come back to the ball, you've got that open face. So instead, we want to take this club away, try to get that club face closed, and part of what's going to do that is this wrist here. So your left wrist on a right-handed golfer, you want to kind of bow that wrist so it creates a little bit of an arc, and that's going to help shut that face a little bit. So again, we're going to take it back, we're kind of going to bow the wrist. That's going to kind of turn that club face over to get that face closed so it's pointing more towards the ground. Then we get to the top of our swing loaded. Now when we come on the downswing, that face is more shut to be able to hit that hook shot we're trying to hit. So I'm going to go ahead and set up here and hit another example shot, making sure that I take the club away with a closed face. All right, and you can see on the screen again, that one was hooking off to the left, and we ended up on the left rough on the side of the fairway. All right, so the next part of the swing we want to make sure we're working on as well is shutting the face at impact, as well as getting the hands flipped over on the release, on the follow through. So as we take this club back and we load up, when we come down on the downswing and we strike that golf ball, we want the follow through. We want to get back to when the club shaft is parallel here. So when this club shaft gets back parallel to the ground, at that point we want to make sure that club face is shut again so that it's pointing down towards the ground a little bit. So to get to that position, we want to make sure this right hand, when we're swinging through the hitting zone, is rolling over, so the forearms are turning over, and that's shutting that face so that we can get, on our follow through, we can get that club face turned over and shut. So again, when we make that swing, we want to make sure in the follow through, we're getting this wrist kind of turned over so the knuckles are pointing up towards the sky, the palm is pointing down towards the ground, and that's going to close over that face on the follow through as well. So 2 different times we want to make sure that club face is pointing towards the ground on the takeaway. We want to get that face shut, and then on the follow through we want to make sure we're closing the face. The reason for this, a lot of people when they swing through the hitting zone, they end up kind of leading with this arm and their arms become disconnected instead of keeping that Y. And when they get disconnected, they leave the club hanging out, and then that leaves the face wide open. So they're gonna come through, hold off on the release, that's gonna keep the club face open, and then it's gonna cause a slice. Instead, we want them coming through, finishing, getting that arm to roll over, to shut the face, close the face, and follow through. All right, tip number 4, we wanna work on our swing path a little bit. So swing path, a lot of slicers are coming over the top. So this means that when you get up here, your first move is kind of pulling your arms down where your right shoulder ends up getting out far too much, and then you've got your back and your torso moving to the left. So what it would look like here is you're gonna take the swing back, and then you're kind of just gonna, pull your body to the left to where your back is facing out to the right too much. Instead, what we want to do is we want to get to the top of our swing, we want to drive those legs, drop our arms in, and we want to actually get that body rotating around our hips and our chest rather than our chest outdoing our hips. So when you let your upper body go first before your lower body, you end up getting over twisted, and that's going to cause your upper body to shoot off to the left. Instead, we want to try to get our body and our motion out to the outside, more to the right. So we're going to take the club back, and we're just going to work on trying to swing out to the right. So this gets the club on a path going out towards the right. And what that's gonna do is, in a combination of the club going out to the right and having a slightly shut club face, that's gonna start the ball out onto the right side, and then that shut club face is gonna create that hook spin or that draw spin. Now, one way you can prevent yourself from coming over the top and swinging from the outside in. So what you can do is you can place a head cover on the ground, and that'll help kind of mentally force you to keep your club on the inside of the golf ball. We want to strike the inside part of the golf ball as we're heading out to the right, rather than striking the outside of the golf ball coming in from the right to the left. So this will force you to keep that club inside the golf ball, and it won't let you, hit it the wrong way. So if you do hit the club head cover, that's going to give you good feedback that your swing path was coming in the wrong direction. All right, so let's go ahead and hit an example one, swinging out to the right, making sure we stay inside the golf ball, and then we're going to have that shut face using the grip change, as well as trying to make sure we're shutting the face at impact, and that's going to create that hook spin. Perfect. So that one started off to the right, it drew back dead center, and we're down the middle of the fairway. All right, and our fifth and final tip today is where we make contact with the golf ball on the face itself. So slicers will typically put contact marks on their golf club on this heel side. And then when you are hooking the golf ball, you're typically putting them more on the toe side. So we want to try to get that golf ball more into the center of this club face. So one way we can track where we're hitting the ball across the face is actually getting some sort of kind of athlete spray or some kind of white misty spray that we can spray onto the club face. And then what that's going to do is it's going to create a coating so that when we hit a golf ball, that golf ball is going to make an imprint on the face due to that sticky spray. So with that being said, you can also buy different strips that you put across your face. There's sticky strips that kind of peel and stick like stickers that can stick onto your club. And after you hit a golf shot, you can see the imprint of that golf ball on your face. So you can learn more about where you're striking the ball on your club face by using those two different methods. That's going to tell you as well if you're catching it on the heel, that could be partly due to your swing and why you're slicing. And we want to get that ball moved more to the center and even more off to the toe so we can start creating that draw slash hook type of shot we're going for. All right, so that's going to conclude today's video. Starting off with the 5 tips. Number 1, change your grip to a strong grip to control the club face so we can get that club face more shut. Then we want to work on our takeaway, making sure when we take it back to the parallel position that wrist is slightly bowed and that club face is turned over a little bit, closed, pointing a little towards the ground. You can over-exaggerate it initially, but over time we don't want to get too far to where it's too shut because that's going to start leading to a nasty hook. But initially it's okay to do it a little over-exaggerated. Then on the follow-through, we want to make sure we're getting those forearms and the hands turned over so that we can get that face shut on the follow-through when we get back to parallel. Then we want to work on swing path. Slicers tend to come over the top and they swing from outside to in. We want to get that ball coming off the club with the club head coming from the inside. So swinging inside to outside, out towards the right of our intended target line. And so that's going to get those shots started off to the right, and then that closed face is going to help with that draw spin, and that's how we hit that nice draw shot. And then our 5th and final tip, working on contact on the club face, getting our ball striking in the right position where the ball is center struck on the face or slightly just forward of center near the toe. We want to get away from the heel strike as that's a common tendency of slicing. So take these 5 tips, try to work on the range on the different tips one at a time, work on one thing at a time each range session, and after 5 range sessions, you should hopefully have your slice turned into more of a draw slash hook. Then we can go through the next video phase where we're going to work on turning that draw slash hook into a more neutral draw so you're not over hooking the golf ball, because this is the next step. People get rid of their slice, but then they start having these nasty duck hooks. So we're going to figure out how to not overdo the hook so that we can turn it more into a neutral draw that starts off a little to the right and then has a slight draw back to center. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Share this channel with a friend who plays golf. Let's get more people into the game, learning how to play golf. And it'll be more fun for you and your friends if you guys can go out and play better rounds of golf after implementing these different tips in these videos. So I appreciate you being here, giving me some time to watch today's tips and lessons. You can find more about our training programs, our drills, our different practice plans that we have available for golfers to utilize at foygolfacademy.com, which will be linked below in this YouTube video.